常，每天动一动，每天大声笑，每天睡个饱。还有天窝蜂蜜柚子茶，蜂蜜带来健康，柚子带来美丽，健康美丽喝啥哟？天窝蜂蜜柚子茶。
欢迎回到英雄联盟职业联赛的现场。那么在开始今天晚上的 BO2 之前，我们先来回顾一下皇族对上 IG。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the LPL, of course, broadcast here in English on Twitch TV, made possible in part by our friends at Esports Heaven and Games in Asia. My name is Rapid. I'm here with Nero, and your MVP on the screen right now with a pentakill and a final score of 13, 3, and 15. Is UZI, an incredible Vayne game. Only averaged 529 gold per minute, so just top of the score line for that. No big deal, but a great way to close out the series for Starhorn Royal Club. And if UZI didn't get the MVP, I would have given it to Insec, whose jungle Shaco play was pretty spectacular in its own right.
Yeah, it definitely was, but it was just because he picked this champion and not because he played it incredibly well, to be honest. But yeah, Starhorn, that was their last best of 2 in the regular season of the LPL, so it is definitely a spectacular way to finish their performance right here. So now they just have to wait for the seeds to pretty much happen themselves. Like they wait for World Elite to finish their best of 2 series, they wait for EDG, OMG, and they will know what their seed coming into the playoffs will be. They definitely will be fighting for the spot at the World Championship, but right now it is World Elite versus LGD coming in.
Now, interesting to notice here, World Elite, a lot of people predicting wins for LGD here, and this is kind of strange, and I feel it's more of a reaction to World Elite kind of maybe coming into a mini slump, but 2-1-1s and actually a 1-0-2 in favor of LGD, so Caster's not really looking to World Elite to pick this one up, even though they are vastly farther ahead in the standings.
Yeah, and that actually is quite an interesting thing. Yes, of course, lately World Elite hasn't been doing like perfectly well, but it's another reason that they should lose to LGD. I don't know, we'll get to see, but LGD, of course, World Elite actually got punished by the late change of patches, with Conan being such a roaming support, and now he has to go for the 2v2.
Well, if you look at their last 5 games, they've only won 2 of them and wound up splitting yesterday versus IG, or a couple days ago. So 60% win ratio, and this is coming from we that had an over 75% win ratio just a couple of weeks ago. So not kind of falling on rough times here. They were able to pick up a 1-1 versus Starhorn, but at this point in the season, the dominant teams need to be hitting those 2-0s, and Starhorn 1-1 versus IG, and now it's World Elite's turn. There you can see on your screen the most famous man in China, it's Salme, and he will be, of course, in the top lane for World Elite. Big Jax player, but Jax maybe not quite the champion to see out of the top lane. If you can get Maokai, great, go for it, but Jax a nice fallback pick, maybe allows you to give away Gragas as well. Heading down to the jungle, and now we're going to see him on the screen. It's Sin, or Act-Sin, a Korean player that came to World Elite, and while he has struggled somewhat, his starter game is still not afraid to pull that champion out, even if it doesn't necessarily do quite so well.
Right, so actually coming back to Salme, I think that Maokai is definitely going to be a highly contested pick, but that's the case for pretty much every single match right now. But definitely we have to look at Wei Xiao right here, because lately it affected him the most. He was the guy trying really hard to carry the team on his shoulders. He was just AFK farming until the late game and then trying to win the game. So we definitely have to be looking at him, and if he steps up his play.
Yeah, there's Wei Xiao, and in case you were wondering what champion he likes to play, it's Tristana. At least that's what he's been pulling out almost every game. And the reason he played Tristana in his last game was actually because Ninja picked up the AP Kog'Maw, and I mean, I'm a big fan of AP Gogma, but I'm not a big fan of World Elite's strategy. And lately, it has just been hit the pause button as hard as you can and head towards the late game. They actually play overly cautiously and incredibly safely over the first like 25-30 minutes of the game, just so that they can keep farming and farming and farming, and then they try to win that one team fight that wins them the game later on. I hate that strategy, especially here in China, because the emphasis is put so much on your positioning at every point in the game. Chinese teams, especially their opponents LGD, love to break the laning phase, and LGD are actually a team that exhibit really smart map movements, sometimes just randomly showing up somewhere with 5 people at the 4-minute mark, and you're just like, shouldn't you be in lane phase CSing right now? And they're like, no, I'm killing you. Now you can see LGD there on your stream with a 46% win ratio, just a little bit down below, but they've actually won 3 out of 5 of their last games, so one better, at least in the last 5 record versus World Elite.
And they have beaten Young Glory, who managed to actually bring down all the legends right here in the LPL. That is quite a nice achievement, but definitely a guy that you have to highlight right here is PYL. He's such a good in-game leader. He's just a perfect support to have in your team. Lately, his thresh hasn't really been too good, but his thresh is godlike.
And so here we can see on your screen right now the AD carry XQ. He has one Lucian game in his pocket, but if anybody is going to pull out Lucian in this patch, it is going to be XQ. It's his best champion, and it's an incredibly strong one. Expect to see it either picked or banned, guaranteed. Heading through the mid lane, and this is actually a place where LGD might have an advantage over World Elite. It's Wayless. That guy has been busting out Ahri in an incredible showing, and has been making that mid lane look good. Up to their jungler Chuan. That may be another place that they have an advantage, though I wouldn't put anything past Axine. He has been having a little bit of a struggle recently, but still, Chuan maybe outclassed just a little bit, unless Axine picks something like Rengar, which he has not been looking too good on. So that is going to be the lineup for both of your teams here. It's LGD versus World Elite, and though the casters may have not been predicting too many wins for we, I'm still a big fan. I enjoy cooling things off with my large rotating blades, especially in their direction. So let's go ahead and hop into Champion Select. World Elite, your team in the blues, starting off versus LGD in the red.
Yeah, and it's not only about being a fan of World Elite or something like that. They really are a good team. I don't really understand the predictions that the casters came up with. Of course, LGD is also a formidable team, and maybe they will like try hard at 100% because they want to get into the playoffs. But World Elite, there's also a lot for them on the line. They want to get the first place spot, and it still is a possibility.
And keep in mind, in order for World Elite to do that, they have to make sure that that Starhorn didn't 2-0, and Starhorn made sure of that for them. So now if they 2-0 LGD and EDG next week, they'll have 24 points, so that'll put them into this weird tiebreaker situation for first place, and that also requires that Young Glory come up with a 2-0 over OMG, which may not be quite so likely. So they will be in the playoffs, but they may not be in that first place spot, and they will have to pick up a 2-0 here versus LGD to make sure of that. Now, Axane is hovering over Zach. That is probably not going to be the pick. Should just lock in this Jax for Sao Mei, even though, and that's more of a reaction to not having a lot of picks left for top lane, as the Alistar, Maokai, and Gragas are all banned out.
Yeah, and it's not gonna be a Tristana for Wei Xiao, it's gonna be a Lucian. So some kind of a new pick coming for him because he hasn't been playing anything. Oh,
Nero,
wow.
I taught you yesterday to expect the mid lane Lucians. And
but there's the Kasdan also.
Okay, well then what? Okay, so what?
Jungle Lucian, top lane Lucian, what do you want to do with him?
No, I think this is going to be top lane Kassadin. And then you put the Lucian mid and the Tristana bottom. That's what I'm expecting, because honestly, you don't play top lane Lucian, he's just gonna get gap closed on. Keep in mind this is the 4.12 patch, so Lucian does still have the cleanse on his slow, or the slow cleanse on his Relentless Pursuit. So even if you do jump onto him, he can just cleanse the slow and walk away, at least on this patch. So wacky picks here for World Elite. They got something up their sleeve. We have yet to see exactly what that is.
Yeah, and especially in this mid lane matchup, it's Wailers versus Ninja. Both of these players have brought some incredible stuff to the table during the LPL, like Ninja came up with a Jace pick. On the other hand, Willis was playing a lot of AP Kog'Maw. Actually, he played him like 2 or 3 times and failed miserably, but he was playing it.
Alright, well there is the Elise pick, so that means that it's definitely Elise jungle, we can guarantee that. And switching things up, I expect to see the top lane Kassadin, but I'm not making too many predictions here. For LGD, they have picked a much more standard team comp. When XQ Valkyrie's into the middle of the enemy team, they'll be able to get the Orianna Shockwave off. And that's a little bit sarcastic, but most Corkis in LPL do find their way into the middle of things with their Valkyrie, and it's a little bit baffling, but XQ a little bit better than that. He's not really known for being one of those big sort of super dive AD carries like UZI or like Name, one of those guys that'll just dive straight in and maybe positioning somewhat aggressively. But it is a big team fight comp. They do have a good ball delivery system there for Wayless. And Orianna has been one of his traditionally most consistent champions along with Ahri, at least that he's been playing lately. So not a bad pick up there, but still a little bit baffled as to how World Elite are going to cram this many hyper carries. And once again, this has been their strategy. They farm for 30 minutes, kick it to the late game, and then they have way too many hyper carries to deal with. And this time they have Lucian, Tristana, and a Kassadin. I don't know if they can stall for that long.
Yeah, and there is this Tristana for Wei Xiao in the end, so I was wrong. But okay, Wei Xiao sticks to this Tristana, so the question is, will he stick to the game plan that he just farms up and is useless to the team and just wants to carry on his own without relying on his team? That might be a hard thing. And also, coming back to XQ, yes, he is one of the more intelligent rather than skilled AD carries right here, because he has perfect positioning, but he's not really the guy that is gonna get a pentakill like UZI, but he's definitely gonna stay safe.
Yeah, and you can see World Elite sitting in 4th place with only 18 points after hitting a pretty big slump lately, and they're taking on, of course, the team right below them in LGD. Looking to climb up in the standings. Let's go ahead and hop into game number 1, our second best of 2 series of the night. It's LGD grouping up, taking on World Elite. World Elite not going to try anything level 1. They're going to give up almost everything that they possibly can just to make it to a very passive lane phase start. LGD may not let them do it.
And LGD will be going for the invade on the red buff. However, their jungler is on the red buff of his own. So just a little bit of ward placement.
Yeah, there is a good ward from World Elite on that red buff, so they're pretty well aware that LGD are going for this big invade. Now, LGD have put the exact same ward at their own red buff, so nothing's really a mystery to either one of these teams. But the big question is, what is LGD going to go for their early strategy? Do they put the duo lane bottom? And it looks like a yes. But more importantly, like, do they go for these crazy break the lane phase, roam everywhere super early on kind of strategy? Because that is something that they have pulled out against these super late game team comps.
Yeah, that might definitely be an interesting game. So LGD, they are fighting for the playoffs and a shot at the Worlds. World League, they are fighting for the first spot to get a good seed in the playoffs. So a lot on the line for both of the teams. And LGD, well, yesterday they've already made a 2-0 against Young Glory. Now they need to get a 2-0 against World Elite and then at least a tie against the last team that they're going to be facing off.
Now, 4.12 has changed a lot for the LPL scene, and the most important thing is that it's caused a lot more 2v2 lanes down bottom. Oh, 17, really? I don't know how you can play top lane Kassadin. It just doesn't seem like it would work, especially this early on against Jax, but Jax has received a few nerfs too. What I was saying about bottom lane, the new patch has forced 2v2s, and that has actually favored LGD just because XQ is really, really good, and PYL is the team shot caller, so everybody knows when he's going in. Whereas the duo lane has actually hurt World Elite because traditionally Wei Xiao just wants to sit in a lane and passively farm out for the first 15-20 minutes of the game.
So PYL is sitting on his Thresh. It's a very comfortable champion for him. So get to see if he manages to pull off the crazy plays again.
PYL has been a great Thresh player. And honestly, I think there are just a lot of great Thresh supports. Although for this, one of the big reasons that this is probably a mismatch is not necessarily because Wei Xiao wants to just sit and farm, but because Conan functions much better as a roaming support rather than just a lane support. Whereas PYL, once again, as the shot caller, is a great lane support with those mechanics.
It was a nice play, but a missed death sentence, so PYL not impressively starting the game.
Yeah, I'm at 340, so maybe a little bit of a desync, but with the more impressive thing, I guess, to talk about is going to be this early gank pressure. Mid lane, we're seeing Axine maybe get into position for a sneaky gank, but look at Chuen. He is down bottom looking for a sneaky advanced positioning here in this second bottom bush. But he's not going to get it. The wave will push on in. This might be his time to shine.
And there's no wards at all in these two brushes. We'll get to see. And, well, Chinese AD carries are good at scouting such things out.
It's true, and most impressively is Name. Oh, Death Sentence will land on a Wei Xiao. He's gonna get flayed backwards. The Unbreakable is gonna block a lot of that damage, and XQ might be in a little bit of trouble here. PYL will get those concussive blows on him as well, so LGD with a nice trip there, and Chuen is back in that bottom lane brush. He wants to safeguard to PYL, who will then land a Death Sentence. There's the Death Sentence. Where is it jumping in? It does get the jump in. Force the flash out of Conan.
Yeah, this time around the ward was there, but it wasn't a mystery that he's coming. And yes, there is the flash, but it's just a flash on the support. Wei Xiao still has every single summoner spell available.
Speaking of being available, that is something that Chuen is always available to the rest of his team. He's sitting in lanes, ganking. He traditionally doesn't actually go for that early extra camp. He'll always just go straight to a lane and try to look for an early gank. Whereas Axine is actually not too afraid of that. He trusts his lanes to stay in there so that he can get a little bit of an early farm advantage. You can see there already about 8 CS up, and that's actually 2 or 3 camps depending on which ones you want to take. So a little bit of an advantage there over Chuen, who's already head back to base for some ward coverage, which might actually make up that disadvantage that he has over the champion with just having more wards out on the map.
Yeah, and 17 versus Xiaomei in the top lane. Well, you don't always see a Cassidy in the top lane, so that definitely is an interesting thing. But also, you don't always see a Lucian in the middle lane. So Ninja, he doesn't bring a Jace, he brings a Lucian right here. Are you happy with that?
I'm pretty happy. I love the mid lane Lucian. It's something we actually saw out of Korea very early after Lucian was first starting to see play in professional tournaments. And after subsequent nerfs, it was like, all right, well, forget this. We're only playing him as an AD carry. And then he got nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. And then 3.14, it's just like, let's just buff him ridiculously. And all of a sudden, now he's back in the mid lane again. So nice to see him coming full circle there. LGD evacuating this bottom lane. They realized they either had to make a play off that gank or just head back to base and get strong for this upcoming dragon. It's a little bit ahead of schedule, but they will take all this pressure off of the bottom lane and maybe put it back a little bit later on. Xiaomei is level 6 too, and you can see the Rift Walk away from 17's stun. Nice utilizing that outplay mechanic, really denying 17 any aggression.
Yeah, but sitting on the top lane, he doesn't really have too much roaming potential on the Kasdan. Plus, both of the top lanes just use teleport, so if there's gonna be a dragon or a bot lane fight happening, they're not gonna be there on time.
Now, even though there's no UZI potential in this game, there's still penta potential when you look at 3 hyper carries on. I guess Lucian's not necessarily a hyper carry, but as far as just the DPS is concerned, having an 80 carry mid is maybe a little bit of an increase over some of the more just like burst based AP carries that you see a lot. Wayla's not really either one of those. He can deal a lot of burst damage, but should just look to see him farm that lane out versus Lucian and try to go for more of team benefit with shockwaves rather than go for those big 1v1s.
Yeah, and of course there is the engage coming in from Xuan or 17, so the shockwaves might be really good. But Ninja, I still don't really get this Lucian pick in the middle lane if it is supposed to be a big team fighting focused thing, or just pushing the lanes with the calling. But there we go.
Now, PYL was actually the support to start to roam. Now in the 2v2, Death Sentence misses, with the Lanterns back, pulling Wayless in here. Ball goes on to Lee Sin, looking for the Shockwave initiation, but not gonna overextend there. Axine was actually really, really low, so very, very vulnerable, but did have his repel just in case he got caught out.
And he used his flash too, so that's why the Death Sentence missed, unfortunately. That would have been the first blood for LGD, and that game is actually extremely interesting. World Lead, they are one of the top teams facing off against LGD, one of the bottom tier teams right here in LPL, but actually LGD have lately been looking quite well, and they are improving a lot.
Yeah, LGD on the upswing, especially off of XQ, with some really good performances lately, whereas World Elite have been having some struggles and have actually kind of reverted their strategy away from many of the advanced tactics that they used very early on in LPL, and kind of back to this sort of pick all the hyper carries and farm until the late game, which I feel lacks the finesse that you expect out of these top 4 LPL teams.
Alright, so looking at the CS, we do have a little bit of an advantage for World Leads, but combined it's about 15 CS only, so not much of a big deal. Still 300 gold is in their favor.
And if there was any doubt about which build Ninja was going to go for, he is going to be hitting this Blue Shin build, going for max CDR just to allow as much mobility as possible from a very low cooldown Relentless Pursuits. So, oh, nice Death Sentence missing, or a nice escape from the Death Sentence with the rocket jump out from Wei Zhao, but it does take a lot of pressure off of that lane. Conan will try to make up for that by positioning a little bit aggressively.
Yeah, so the Youmuu's Ghostblade most probably coming in quite quickly for Ninja. So, on top of the very quick callings, when you have the Youmuu's Ghostblade, you are gonna have also a lot of cooldown reduction for the Relentless Pursuits, as you said. So, yeah, Lucian is quite a powerful champion in this 4.12 patch. Meanwhile, in the top lane, 17 had to use up his flash, and there we go, the engage mid. Oh, that was a quick one.
Yeah, engage mid was quick. Ninja didn't know what hit him. And now bottom lane, though, we could see Conan going a little bit too aggressive. He's going to get pulled, flayed into the box. The burst damage is down, but there's just too much damage reduction from the Unbreakable. Wei Zhao might have jumped a little bit too far in, because with the teleport, 17 is going to be there in time to take him out. This counter TP coming in from Salmei just may not be there in time. Might be able to jump into on XQ, but Conan's pretty dead here. No, the Death Sentence gets flashed away from by Conan. Salmei is going to die in the back lane, and a horrible shot call there. Wei Zhao got caught, got too far forward, and Salmei was just left holding the bag after that one. Both deaths for World Elite. Now 3-0 and a Dragon coming the way for LGD.
So Conan dodged the hook and actually made his top laner die, while now this Cassinan would be a lot more useful than a live Braum. But yep, LGD do secure the Dragon, and just because this teleport got used, it was quite an easy one with a Jax right there. And as you said, Wei Zhao, oh, this jump was too bold.
Now, one thing that we've seen as a switch primarily from Wayless is you pick the wave clear mid laners and you just farm, and you farm, and you farm, and you farm. And one item that helps him do that is the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. It stacks up AP as you kill jungle camps, and you'll notice he'll be killing both of those jungle camps pretty consistently. Wolves and Wraiths, even though he let Chuen have one last Wraith camp before the rest of them go to him. And it does give you a little bit of extra sustain from that. When you shield yourself, you'll get extra regen from killing off the jungle camps, and those conservation stacks will provide you with a ton more gold there. But it is not, you know, a needlessly large rod. It's not a death cap. It's not an Athene's Unholy Grail. It's a little bit of an investment into farming, which may not be the best strategy versus World Elite, who benefit really well off that farm. PYL gets burst out there. Wei Zhao can get another reset if he wants to, but World Elite Academy are not going to go quite so hard. Oh, the flash in! Axine's going to go down, but so is XQ. I don't know why he chose to go for that trade, but does wind up trading 1-for-1.
Yeah, I don't think it was really worth it for him, but finally he got a kill on this Corki because everything got stolen away in this previous bottom lane fight. So maybe a little bit of greediness right there, but they still have the advantage in gold and kills and everything that they want. So It's not like it hurts them a lot. And coming back to this middle lane pick for Spirit of the Spectral Wraith on towards Wayless. He played it yesterday and it worked out quite well. But as you said, against World Elite, who do want to make the late game happen, I don't know, it is the best choice.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of confusing. Maybe LGD are just saying, hey, one-on-one, we're not afraid of the late game. We're just going to scale up just as hard as you guys are. And they do have a Jax in the top lane who's going to do very well late game. And if Wayless gets a billion CS, then he'll do pretty well for himself there too. The big difference will be Tristana versus Corki. Corki will be able to poke out with missiles, but a 6-slotted Tristana is it's just ridiculous. It's the strongest carry in the game as far as ADs are concerned. Maybe Kog'Maw, but Kog'Maw doesn't have a reset. And he also doesn't have the additional mobility from Rocket Jump, both of which will really, really help Tristana as the game.
If he gets jumped on by a champion like Jax or Lee Sin that LGD have, he's not going to stay alive for a lot of time, but Tristana will.
Now Salmei jumping in there as PYL is going to pull Chuen in back from behind the turret. There's the Dragon's Rage Chuen coming in with the Thresh gank. And somewhat surprisingly, it's actually been Chuen's or PYL's Thresh that is out roaming Conan. And Conan's always been known as one of the big roam supports from LPL. Now Wayless and PYL trying to steal away the red buff, and they do.
The blue buff.
Or blue buff, that's right. They're the red team. They're stealing away the blue buff.
Alright, but Ninja is going for the same on the other side of the map. And also the bottom lane turret fell. So we still have an equal thing.
Oh no, XQ coming in here. Does he get the blue buff? I think he did, but he goes down from jumping into 3 champions. Not quite the aggression you wanted. Valkyrie's not good enough to get him out of there. The blue buff goes back to Conan.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't worth it, but the blue buff went to Conan and not to Ninja, so he doesn't really have the 40% cooldown reduction as of yet, which is quite okay for Wayless, but wow, Tron in such a bad positioning.
Alright there. So, some questionable positioning from LGD. They have their AD carry run into 3 people just to get the blue buff, and I guess, you know, they're successful there, but...
PYL.
Yeah, they could use some help with that. Now, PYL is still looking to play aggressively here. He's got the Lantern to pull in some backup. But where's it? Wait, where is Ninja going right now? Like, wait, what? Oh my gosh.
He wanted to get the execute, but XQ was already there. He has already respawned and was there for the damage.
Yeah, you can't really get an execute against XQ. It just doesn't work that way. So, wound up kind of looking a little bit silly there. I feel like that's the second or third time we've seen an AD carry try to do that. I believe last game it was UZI in game 1. Wound up dying like basically inside the enemy base. And you're just like, why are you there? I don't know. But couldn't get the execute. So 4-6, both teams. Really a bloodbath. Nice 2-0 start for 17 though, and that was actually a lane we expected Salmei to win. Now he's down 0-2 as the top lane Kassadin. He's up 30 CS though, or 20 CS, so he still has at least that advantage. But maybe one-on-one, not going to do too well versus 17's Jax.
But it's a shame that XQ goes for such a crazy plays where he loses his life for nothing, pretty much. 1-for-1 trade is not worth it at all, especially if you give the assists to the enemy team. 17 using the ward jump right there. But I don't think that his life was in danger.
But having left his carry, Conan might have put Wei Zhao's life in a little bit of danger here as PYL is going to come down behind the turret. An immediate teleport being used there. And Salmei should look to finish this. He is going to teleport in, but he flashes immediately out. And once again, he left Wei Zhao to take the hook. Wei Zhao's going to die to the Ignite. No lifesteal coming back his way. And now will we see another death sentence looking to come this back in? But no. Salmei going to teleport in for the kill on Salmei, or Rift walk in. He used to teleport earlier, but too many mana stacks up there. Now, PYL, Conan rather, running into 3 champions. He's got the stand behind me. It was actually making the other, his teammate stand in front of him as they were both running away. 5-7 now. I don't think these teams are going to stop going for this. We wanted to see or World Elite wanted to see a passive early game, but LGD not giving it to him.
Yeah, and Salmei already recalled, so another easy dragon for LGD. So they actually come out on top of this fight, but these fights are really crazy. Every single time it's a 1-for-1, 2-for-2, something like that. No one comes out on top in the kills.
And this is classic LPL. It's not necessarily a deep, well-orchestrated, pick and ban phase. You just pick the strong champions, and, well, for World Elite, ideally, they want to sit in the lane phase and farm it out for late game. But even though LGD are bringing the fight to them, teleports like that from Sao Mei really help World Elite pick up little advantages, at least in champion kills, that they should be able to turn this one in. But no, oh, XQ, the cocoon! Okay, the
How
cocoon.
did that even happen?
Why would you
How
try
did
to
that
shoot a
miss?
cocoon through all those creeps? Like, you're never gonna hit it. Now, Conan's gonna come in. There's the Glacial Fissure. 0 knockups, but still the slow field. Teleport coming down in, and an immediate buster shot back from 17. Not gonna let him
QIL
come
low
in
on
there.
health.
But Wayless gonna walks right into Ninja. He's got more damage than Ninja knows what to do with. And even with his low cooldowns on Relentless Pursuit, will it be relentless enough? No! Flash in from Wayless. Takes him down. Bottom lane, the
died in the
fight
bottom.
starts again. Yeah, PYL's out of there. But will Conan go down to the big one from XQ, executing him? And LGD come forward with a 4-for-1 exchange across the map.
And very nice play from XQ right here. Even though he had pretty much no mana at all, he still managed to dish out this big rocket and then the phosphorus bomb to secure all the kills. And that's really nice for LGD, getting 4 kills in exchange for just 1. PYL went down at the very beginning of the fight.
I don't know why World Elite re-engaged that. 17 had his TP up, and we knew that Sao Mei was not looking to help them out anytime soon. So LGD with a solid win down there take 2 turrets bottom lane. Now they are looking incredibly strong. 4-2, the Trinity Force completed for XQ, and he is going to be miles ahead of this Tristana. Even though she does have a Trinity Force completed, it's still a very strong carry lineup for LGD.
Oh, Chuan.
Chuan was trying to go in there aggressively. He does get the red buff, but can he make it out in time? Safeguards
Oh, no,
away.
he-
The Buster shot follows him. Not fast enough to Lee Sin. Can't see why World Elite loved the smell of Lee Sin's invading the red buffs.
I got so confused though because I thought that the buster shot actually knocked Chuan over the wall, but it was his safeguard, and then when the buster shot hit, he went down. But wow, that would have been such a big misplay by Wei Xiao.
Exactly. There's always that vulnerability you have. You're like, hey, I want to burst this guy down. Oh no, I just saved him. And so Wei Xiao just waited just long enough in time to get that one down. Blue buff. Wait, who has blue buff right now? I don't see anybody with it on World Elite. I might have missed who took that one down. But I assume it was stolen since I didn't see it on LGD either.
So actually LGD just, Whalers got the blue buff. So LGD, they lost their lives already 2 times just because they wanted a blue buff or a red buff. First it was XQ, then it was Chuan. So that is actually a kind of a weird play by them. But World Elite though, on the other side, they also throw away some deaths.
Buffs are significant, especially when Ninja's looking for a ton of CDR, and Wayless is just trying to farm his butt off. He's up 60 CS over Ninja, so that is fairly sizable. And keep in mind, CS for Wayless are going to matter more because he's getting more gold from CSing jungle monsters, and he's getting doubly more gold because of this conservation passive from the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. So even though he's 60 CS ahead, he's more like 70 or 80 CS ahead just because of the extra gold from Spirit of the Spectral Wraith.
Yeah, and there's already the death cap. And this is gonna hurt a lot, but actually we haven't seen a big shockwave as of yet. Whereas he's just going for the 1v1s, he was never in a big fight.
I'm wondering what item Wayless is going to sacrifice for his Spectral Wraith, because like he needs Void Staff and Zanya's Hourglass, but he also may want a Banshee's Veil. If he does go for those 2 items, he'll have somewhere upwards of like 600 ability power, 600 or 700. You want to count all of that, so I don't know. That Shockwave is going to be way ahead of schedule as far as damage is concerned, and it's up to Chuan or 17 if they want to go in and make that happen. Really just need a team fight to happen for that to be realized.
17 completely destroying Sao Mei right there. Cassidy has no rights to contest any kind of creeps or towers or whatever against this Jax. He's just gonna destroy him if he goes for a 1v1 fight. LGD.
Yeah, they're catching World Elite out of position there, off this rotation, and it's going to take Conan just home guarding his way back up that mid lane, desperately trying to keep that turret alive. But it's down below half health. It'll heal itself up, but this push from LGD, I don't think World Elite are really in position. Now, Death Sentence is going to land there. We've got action in the bottom lane, top lane, or mid lane as well. And the damage from Wayless!
Wow.
Way too much.
There it goes.
It's way versus way. Too many ways, or way too many ways. If you want to look at that, the push through. Conan's gonna go down.
Wayless is so huge.
Ninja might be the next to fall. Wants to get the 1v1 onto Wayless, but look at him. He just destroys them. Too much damage to deal with. And they're gonna look to end the game here. Axion is back up alive, but there's minions in here to tank up the Nexus turrets. And a 23-minute victory for LGD? They're gonna do it. The Nexus gonna go down here, and with only Axion alive, he gets pulled off the fountain, and Wei Xiao's back, but it's not back in time. Axion's gonna go down, and LGD, the death push up mid lane, crushing World Elite 16-7 in a 24-minute win.
Oh, wow, Wayless just one by one. Command attack dissonance, attack dissonance, attack dissonance. Somewhere in the meantime, he threw out a shockwave, getting 3 kills in the base of World Elite, no problem. And as I said, he was never in a big fight as of yet, and then this happens. That was incredible.
So congratulations to LGD. They will pick up game number 1, and so gotta give some props to the Chinese casters. All of them predicted at least one LGD win, so we'll have to see if World Elite can bring things back in game number 2, and that game will be coming up in about 10 minutes. So stick around. We'll be right back with game number 2 as World Elite look to bring things back versus LGD. Stick around. It's the LPL in English on Twitch TV. Big fan of AP Gogma, but I'm not a big fan of World Elite's strategy. And lately it has just been hit the pause button as hard as you can and head towards the late game. They actually play overly cautiously and incredibly safely over the first like 25-30 minutes of the game, just so that they can keep farming and farming and farming, and then they try to win that one team fight that wins them the game later on. I hate that strategy, especially here in China, because the emphasis is put so much on your positioning at every point in the game. Chinese teams, especially their opponents LGD, love to break the laning phase, and LGD are actually a team that exhibit really smart map movements, sometimes just randomly showing up somewhere with 5 people at the 4-minute mark, and you're just like, shouldn't you be in lane phase CSing right now? And they're like, no, I'm killing you. Now you can see LGD there on your stream with a 46% win ratio, just a little bit down below, but they've actually won 3 out of 5 of their last games, so one better, at least in the last 5 record versus World Elite.
And they have beaten Young Glory, who managed to actually bring down all the legends right here in the LPL. That is quite a nice achievement, but definitely a guy that you have to highlight right here is PYL. He's such a good in-game.
每天动一动，每天大声笑，每天睡个饱。还有天窝蜂蜜柚子茶，蜂蜜带来健康，柚子带来美丽，健康美丽喝洒哟。天窝蜂蜜柚子茶。
欢迎回到英雄联盟职业联赛的现场。那么在开始今天晚上的 BO2 之前，我们先来回顾一下皇族对上 IG。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the LPL. Of course, broadcast here in English on Twitch TV, made possible in part by our friends at Esports Heaven and Games in Asia. My name is Rapid. I'm here with Nero, and your MVP on the screen right now with a pentakill and a final score of 13, 3, and 15. Is UZI, an incredible Vayne game. Only averaged 529 gold per minute, so just coming into a mini slump, but 2-1-1s and actually a 1-0-2 in favor of LGD. So Caster's not really looking to World Elite to pick this one up, even though they are vastly farther ahead in the standings.
Yeah, and that actually is quite an interesting thing. Yes, of course, lately World Elite hasn't been doing like perfectly well, but it's another reason that they should lose to LGD. I don't know, we'll get to see, but LGD, of course, World Elite actually got punished by the late change of patches, with Conan being such a roaming support, and now he has to go for the 2v2.
Well, if you look at their last 5 games, they've only won 2 of them and wound up splitting yesterday versus IG, or a couple days ago. So 60% win ratio, and this is coming from we that had an over 75% win ratio just a couple of weeks ago. So kind of falling on rough times here. They were able to pick up a 1-1 versus Starhorn, but at this point in the season, the dominant teams need to be hitting those 2-0s, and Starhorn 1-1 versus IG, and now it's World Elite's turn. There you can see on your screen the most famous man in China, it's Salme, and he will be top of the scoreline for that. No big deal, but a great way to close out the series for Starhorn Royal Club. And if Uzi didn't get the MVP, I would have given it to Insec, whose jungle Shaco play was pretty spectacular in its own right.
Yeah, it definitely was, but it was just because he picked this champion and not because he played it incredibly well, to be honest. But yeah, Starhorn, that was their last best of 2 in the regular season of the LPL, so it is definitely a spectacular way to finish their performance right here. So now they just have to wait for the seeds to pretty much happen themselves. Like, they wait for World Elite to finish their best of 2 series, they wait for EDG, OMG, and they will know what their seed coming into the playoffs will be. They definitely will be fighting for the spot at the World Championship, but right now it is World Elite versus LGD coming in.
Now, interesting to notice here, World Elite, a lot of people predicting wins for LGD here, and this is kind of strange, and I feel like it's more of a reaction to World Elite kind of, maybe, of course, in the top lane for World Elite. Big Jax player, but Jax maybe not quite the champion to see out of the top lane. If you can get Maokai, great, go for it, but Jax, a nice fallback pick, maybe allows you to give away Gragas as well. Heading down to the jungle, and now we're going to see him on the screen. It's Sin, or Act-Sin, Korean player that came to World Elite, and while he has struggled somewhat, his starter game is still not afraid to pull that champion out, even if it doesn't necessarily do quite so well.
Alright, so actually coming back to Salme, I think that Maokai is definitely going to be a highly contested pick, but that's the case for pretty much every single match right now. But definitely we have to look at Wei Xiao right here, because lately it affected him the most. He was the guy trying really hard to carry the team on his shoulders. He was just AFK farming until the late game and then trying to win the game. So we definitely have to be looking at him, and if he steps up his play.
Yeah, there's Wei Xiao, and in case you were wondering what champion he likes to play, it's Tristana. At least that's what he's been pulling out almost every game. And the reason he played Tristana in his last game was actually because Ninja picked up the AP Kog'Maw, and I mean, I'm a bit